Yo, what is up? So now I'm gonna break down the Atlanta Falcons roster. I kind of just give my thoughts on their positions, all their players, and kind of see what the roster will look like going into next year. So the first position, receiver, yeah, Julio Jones. I mean, it sounds like he might get traded now. Like, very interesting situation if that does happen because he's their number one receiver, one of the best receivers in the NFL. Does get injured quite a bit. Well, lately he definitely has. So there is some concerns with that. But if they do trade him, like that would kind of just change everything because they'll probably get a few first round pick, maybe like a couple first round picks and a couple players. Maybe they'll get some good stuff for him. But it also be a bit of a loss because your receiver group will look really good with Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Kyle Pitts. So I don't know, but maybe Julio Jones just wants a fresh start because the Falcons don't really look like they're going to be doing much like recently. And then their second receiver is Calvin Ridley. Yeah, Calvin Ridley is going to be their that second receiver. Very good receiver, good all around player, good deep threat, good across the middle, just amazing route runner. Also, just a really good player. So yeah, very good player. And then for the third receiver, um, yeah, it's going to be definitely a competition. I mean, they drafted Frank Darby. He could definitely be that. But probably Russell Gage in the slot. But I think Frank Darby, they did bring him in to compete for that slot position. So I think he could definitely win that out and take over that slot position from Russell Gage. He wasn't that bad. But maybe Frank Darby can be better than him. They also got Cordell Patterson, who brought from Chicago. He played running back last year, but that'll give them a really good returner. Like, that's going to be very good. One of the best returners in the league. Gives them a really good player. Not on offense, like, he's not going to do much as a wide receiver, running back. But in the special teams game, which the Falcons special teams isn't really that good, and the returners, they don't really got much. So they get Cordell Patterson, he's a very good player. And they just got some other depth players, not really anybody else, like Greg Dortch, he's kind of been passed around. So yeah, and then the O-line, Jake Matthews, yeah, he'll probably be their left tackle. Jalen Mayfield could take that because was a tackle at Michigan. But I think he could start at guard because look who their starting guard is right now. Willie Wright, like who the hell is that guy? So Jalen Mayfield, I would assume he'd start at guard straight away. I'm pretty sure he would start straight away also. I don't think he um I don't think he sits on the bench, especially with the Falcons O line that isn't really that good. So you got Jake Matthews, who's a decent tackle. He's getting older, so maybe he can be a replacement. Like Jalen Mayfield could be a replacement in the future at that tackle because Jalen Mayfield is quite a raw player, so I like that. And then center position, yeah, another kind of battle here. Drew Dalman, Matt Hennessy, kind of just see who's gonna win. I was pretty sure it'd be Matt Hennessy because Drew Dalman they just drafted this year, and Matt Hennessy they drafted last year, so kind of just more experience. But maybe Drew Dalman can be better because they did lose Alex Mack, so maybe they don't like Matt Hennessy, so they drafted Drew Dalman, or maybe it's just another backup that can play guard or center if people get injured. So that's pretty decent. And guard, Chris Lindstrom, yeah. They've just got a bunch of young players, really, that just aren't really that good. Still a lot of developmental players who just haven't really broken out, like Chris Lindstrom and Clay McCarron, haven't broken out yet. I've had some good, games and everything over their career. But have not been anything special, but yeah, their starters, Caleb McGarry, Chris Lindstrom, that would probably pretty set at your right tackle position. I don't see any changes in that. And then tight end, yeah, Kyle Pitts probably be their number one tight end. But then you also got Hayden Hurst to back him up. Hayden Hurst is a really good player. I wouldn't say really good, actually, just good player. Pretty decent tight end overall. So that's pretty good, backup for Kyle Pitts. I mean, Kyle Pitts, you can use him in so many different ways. Like, he's not the best blocker, but he can block. But he's basically more of a receiver, Kyle Pitts, just a big receiver. So they can use him all over the field. So it's kind of just, you can't really list him at any position. So having an actual tight end like Hayden Hurst, I think that's also good. And then you got Lee Smith, who's basically just a small tackle. That's kind of it. Just a really good blocker. Not going to catch much balls. Damn, that sounds sus. But it will just really be a blocking tight end, but he's pretty good at that. So that's pretty good. Third tight end, primarily blocker, improve your run game. And then the quarterback, yeah, Matt Ryan, he's your starter. He's a pretty good quarterback. I mean, he could maybe have a down year, but I doubt it with this offense. You just got to see how age really affects him, but I think he'll be fine. And to back him up, AJ McCarron, yeah, that's a good backup. They get him from Houston. They didn't really have any backups. I mean, Matt Ryan doesn't really get injured anyway, so. But if he does, then you kind of need a viable backup that AJ McCarron can run your offense. But then they also drafted, geez, what is this? Felipe Franks, who's a good developmental player. Oh, what the hell is wrong with this page, man? But Felipe Franks, yeah, massive arm. Maybe you take out Matt Ryan, put in Felipe Franks for a shot play, just chuck up the ball. Like, Felipe Franks could do that because he's got one of the biggest arms, probably the biggest arm in the draft. Just a really raw player, just not accurate. But it's a pretty decent third developmental type quarterback. And then running back position, Mike Davis. Yeah, probably be their starter. What the hell is wrong with this? But yeah, Mike Davis. He kind of had a bit of a breakout year. Wasn't really anything before. Didn't really get a chance. He's not a young running back. But I don't mind that as your starting running back. He won't be amazing. Like, he's not going to be like a top 10 running back in the league. But he can give you a good like player for some plays. Just not really anything special. Fullback, Keith Smith, yeah, whatever, fullback. Their backups, Javian Hawkins, probably be the second running back. He'll probably get a significant amount of snaps, I'd assume. He was a pretty good player coming out of college, so I like that there. And then going on to the defense, defensive end, they got Jacob Tutu Mariner. He had some good plays last year. I don't know if he'll really be their starter though. Like, I mean, they kind of got Dante Fowler, who probably play that second edge rush position, but then he's also kind of like a more of a rushing off the right, but he's pretty versatile. So, I mean, Tutu Mariner, he could start there. They also got Jonathan Bullard, who's pretty decent. They get him from Seattle. So that's not a bad backup. Also, Taquan Graham, who they drafted pretty high, actually. That's pretty good player, I guess. It was probably a bit of a reach when they did draft him. He's more of a defensive tackle, though. That's the thing. So he'd probably be, like, a backup for, like, I don't know, probably Tyler Davidson that second. They also got Marlon Davidson, a lot of Davidsons. So maybe do move him more of that edge position. He'd probably rush from, like, the edge a bit, actually, because he's pretty versatile, pretty decent pass rusher overall. So I could see him rushing off the defensive end position and just have Grady Jarrett, Tyler Davison, Marlon Davison kind of rotate. Even Deidre Sinat's not a horrible player. Like, they got some guys, their defensive line's not amazing, though. They don't really got any standout players, really. Grady Jarrett's kind of their only really good player last year on that defensive line. They didn't really improve. And they got Dante Fowler. This wasn't impressive, especially they just didn't live up to that contract. They gave him such a big contract. Everybody just knew it was a bad contract. So just the Rams system made him better than what he actually was. Like, he wasn't really very good last year because he didn't really have. I mean, if you get him more help on the edge position, but they didn't do that, then I think he can be better. He kind of needs to be that second pass rusher. If you're your primary pass rusher, he's just going to get stuffed the whole time and probably not an amazing scheme fit. I think moving to this new defense they're probably going to have, I think he can be used better. So I'm excited to see that, but I'm not because I'm a Saints fan. And then they got Batarius Mingo to back him up. Yeah, he's a good player, Batarius Mingo, good backup. Even at the Gombo Odenji, I wasn't really high on him coming out of college. But he could give you some good rotation on that defensive line. More of an edge rusher. And then linebacker, Deion Jones, Foyeside Aluakon. Yeah, they'll be your two stars. That's a good linebacker duo. They even got Michael Walker, who they got last year, who's very good in coverage for them. Not as good as a run defender, but a good coverage linebacker. Like, he showed some promise as a good third linebacker. So their linebacker group's pretty built. They kind of got their players. They also got Brandon Copeland. He'll give you another good backup, good special teamer. So that's all right. Erno Thompson, yeah, just special teams. They'll get depth, basically. And then secondary, not looking very good. They got Kendall Sheffield. He's just not good. Like, he just got burnt the whole of last year. I think Darren Hall could probably replace him there. He's kind of a developmental player, though. Like, I don't think he's really ready to start playing at San Diego State. Didn't face good competition. So I think if you just throw him to the Flames straight away, that would be pretty bad for him. But then their cornerback position's not very good, so you might have to start at points. And the other corner, Isaiah Oliver, again, just bad player, also just gets burnt. Kind of played more in the slot. Last year, just didn't really play well. I think Fabian Moreau would be a better player in the slot, actually. He was pretty decent when he got a chance in the slot. Like, I think he can be a good player there. Also, pretty fierce player, like, good athlete, likes to hit you. Pretty small. That's why he fits in the slot. I think he could start there. I think he will. But overall, their cornerback position is just not very good. Oh my god. AJ Terrell. Bro, frick this shit. AJ Terrell, yeah, they got him last year. He was actually pretty decent from what people had expectations of him coming into the season. So I think he could take a step up. We could also see him take a step down because the cornerback position is just really hard to play. But he'll have to be their starting receiver. If the thing is, if he's covering your team's number one receiver, that's going to be a bit rough. So their cornerback position, they definitely need to improve on that. And then safety, yeah, they just got. I like the Richie Grant pickup. He'll be their starter. I don't know why they have Jalen Hawkins. Their depth chart stuff is all messed up. But Richie Grant, they picked him up. Very versatile player. He could also play corner for them. But I think he probably plays safety. He could move to outside corner, but I don't think that'd be very good for me. It's more if he was going to play corner, it'd be in the slot. But I think you stick him on the outside and that free safety, and then you have Eric Harris or Deron Harmon play that other safety. I mean, Deron Harmon wasn't bad last year for Detroit. I think he'd probably start that strong safety because he's more of a strong safety than Eric Harris, who plays kind of more free and strong. But Deron Harmon could also play in the box. So could Eric Harris, actually. They're pretty big safety, so I like those two safeties they brought. They're not like amazing players. They're not going to give you much because they kind of hit their ceiling. And then they just brought in a bunch of young players, see if they have something. I mean, some of these dudes at the cornerback position are probably going to have to start at points last year because they're very weak. We'll just have to see what happens. Their cornerback, their secondary in general is just probably not going to be very good. Their defense overall is just pretty weak. Besides the linebacker position, there's not really anything that is like, oh yeah, that position's really good. Maybe defensive tackle, but then you got the edge rushers. Just ugh, it's kind of a bit disgusting. And then punter, Sterling Hoffreicher or whatever. They also got another punter they brought in, but it's punter Younghoe Koo. He's actually a pretty decent kicker. He got Pro Bowl last year. Yeah, he'll stay there. Josh Harris, long snapper. Yeah, whatevs. And punt return kicker, so that's going to be Cordell Patterson, so don't even look at that. Like, Carl Patterson, yeah. Maybe if he goes down, Avery Williams from Boise State comes in. He was pretty decent at Boise State, but I don't think he's really going to be a starting corner for you, so yeah. That's kind of it. This thing's stupid. My computer, I'm going to go punch it. And bye.